adding and taking away boxes before wintertime, what do you need to know? Here's the key components, okay? If a hive is really strong, you know, if all the boxes on the hive are completely full of bees, full of honey, full of brood, this time of year, this is early October, anywhere in the country, I'm not going to keep adding boxes. So once you get to early October, swarming, the threat of swarming is past. I love to see all my boxes full of bees. I'm still not going to add boxes. So from now until next year, you know, February, March, April, depending on where in the country you are, I'm not going to be adding boxes. So my main role right now is making sure that I don't have too many boxes. And really, I'm only concerned about too many boxes if a box is just completely empty. If a box is completely empty, not a bad idea to pull it off, as long as the bees have enough honey in the lower or other boxes to sustain them through the winter. So if I'm going through this hive and the top box is just completely empty and the bottom two boxes are full of bees and full of honey, I'm going to pull that top box off. Anytime really between now and March, I'm going to make that happen. If I'm going through this hive, and a common thing that you see is that the bottom box is almost completely empty and the bees and the brood have all moved up into the upper boxes, then again, I'm going to go pull that bottom box out. So anytime between now and spring, if a box is completely empty, doesn't have a lot of resources in it, doesn't hurt to just pull it off and let the bees, you know, focus on the space that they do have. So that's kind of what we're targeting this time of year when it comes to boxes. Now, if a hive is really weak and they're not even filling up the boxes that they do have, so let's take a look at this hive. And I'm looking at the upper box. The upper box is pretty much empty. I mean, I've got a few bees running around up there, but it's like maybe, I don't know, like a frame of bees cumulative. They're just kind of up there because they're hanging out. So not a lot going on in that box. The next box down, again, a couple of frames of bees, not a whole lot. The bottom box is completely empty. So essentially what this hive is they've got 3 frames, maybe 4 frames of bees, and that's about it. So it's not a very strong hive. So I can do one of two things. I can consolidate all the bees, brood, and honey into one box. So I can just make sure this box has, 4 to 6 frames of honey, a couple of fairly empty frames, and maybe my brood in the middle, and then I can leave them a single story hive. But if it's pretty weak, the other option is to put them in a nook box. And so you can get a wooden nook box, just like this. We have these, we sell these. So it's just a 5-frame wooden nook box with a telescoping lid and an inner cover. And you can transfer these weak little hives into this wooden nook box, and they overwinter much, much better in these wooden nook boxes than in, double deep hive, with a bunch of empty space in it. Lots of people overwinter these nooks. So if you have a really small, weak hive, I would say in the 3 to 4 frames of bees range, you can transfer them into this nook and they've got a much better chance at overwintering successfully. If they're, 5, 6, 7 frames of bees, don't worry, you can leave them in a single. If they're like 1 or 2 frames of bees, it's probably better to go ahead and combine it with another hive than trying to save it. The one note I will make though is before you transfer this and try to save a weak hive in a nook box over the winter, it's important to understand why it's so weak. If it's because it's queenless, it's not going to help to transfer it into a new box. If it's because they've got tremendous varroa mite problems, again, nook box isn't going to help you. But if you have a hive that doesn't have hive varroa mites, they have a healthy laying queen, they don't have a bunch of foul brood, and they're just weak and small, then transferring them into one of these nook boxes is a great way to ensure that they survive the winter.